Yeah, not sure why, but that last video I was making, the telepathic marriage proposal video, um, suddenly my QuickTime just shut down, and I don't know why. So I wanted to finish off what I was saying and maybe roll into a second story if I don't get interrupted again. Basically, what I was saying was that at the end of that story was that the moon, Kokomikisum in the Blackfoot scheme of things, really is the archetypal all-woman. And so to me, that experience, I'll always remember it as the time that the moon kind of interceded in my life to set me on the right path and help me um, take on a real, strong, um, important spiritual bond with another person long term. So that was that. Now let's move on into another area of these kind of experiences that I've had, and let's talk about animals a little bit, because it seems to me that animals really have a better set of abilities when it comes to this telepathy kind of stuff than we do. I know the little Dottie dog, the little Chihuahua that we had that just passed away of old age this last year. Um, she used to seem to have some abilities where I could be gone for 3 or 4 days, and 10 minutes before I walk in the door, she would go sit and like wait at the door because she knew I was going to be coming through. And she wouldn't do that. She wouldn't sit at the door otherwise. But all of a sudden, just when I'm going to get home, she would go sit at the door because it seemed that she knew I was coming. Even my father-in-law, who stayed here for about a week at our house and took care of her one time when my whole family left, we went to Oregon to visit some of my family. My father-in-law, who was taking care of Dottie, noticed that she had some kind of ability to predict what he was going to do before he made any action to do it. There was no body language or anything that she could go off, but she seemed to be responding right away to things he was thinking he was going to do with her. If he thought he was going to take her outside, right away she'd come prancing up ready to go. That kind of a thing. So there's that. My experience with rattlesnakes leads me to believe that they have a really keen ability to read our emotional state at the time of our encounters with them. And they'll mirror it. Like if I'm really calm and relaxed and stuff, and have a sense of good purpose for being with them, then they'll be very calm and relaxed and trusting of me. But if I fear, or if I bring someone with me and they fear, then the rattlesnake will fear, and they'll start to get, a lot of times, like if I come to a snake call, snake might be really agitated, but I believe that that's usually because the person who originally encountered them and phoned me had already set that stage, had already set that fear up with the snake. But when I'm out on my own in the coulees and I'm visiting the snakes, it's a whole different story. So I always feel like the snakes have a really, really good ability to read our emotive state. Now, reptiles in general may be very, very good at this and may be able to communicate in ways that we only wish we could. I'm going to talk about experience that I had with a lizard, with an iguana. I was living in Boston, and this is the big story for this video. I was living in Boston, and I had two pet iguanas. One that was a little bit smaller than the other, and the smaller one would often get chased by the larger one. The larger one would kind of pick on it, and one night, I had them in this big kind of homemade enclosure. One night, I went to bed, and in the middle of the night, I had a very vivid dream. And in the dream, I could see the smaller iguana hanging upside down on one of the branches that was in the enclosure, and its toe was bent. One of its toes was bent backwards over a part of the branch, and its toenail was stuck in a crack in the branch, and so it was hanging by a toenail and a toe that was bent over backward upside down, and it couldn't get itself free. And this iguana spoke to me in my mind in the similar way that the moon had spoke to me in my other story. This telepathic communication that's not necessarily in words, but it's just as clear as words. I mean, it wasn't opening its mouth and talking, but it was like I was thinking it, or I was thinking it, but there was a thought coming into my head from this from this iguana, putting it there, and it was communicating with me very clearly, and it told me that it was chased by the larger iguana, and it got its toe stuck, and it went to jump off, and it's stuck upside down, and I need to wake up. I need to come and help it and release it, or it's going to die. It was in fear for its life. And so I woke up from this dream. It was a very vivid dream. I went in the other room. I thought, it's too vivid. I have to go and check. So I got out of bed. I walked into the other room to check. And sure enough, the little iguana was hanging upside down with one toe bent up backward over a stick and caught in the crack exactly the way it was in my dream. And so I believe that instance demonstrated to me clearly enough that I believe that iguana was able to speak to me telepathically of its own will. I don't know if it was able to do, like if it was a kind of a super ability that it gained in the time of being, of it being in a in that grave danger. Like when somebody gets in an automobile accident and suddenly they have that super strength, they're able to lift a car off of them if they have to. I don't know if it's that give it the ability to talk to me in my mind. I kind of suspect, though, that actually animals can do this at will, and that they just don't do it with us, but they do it among each other quite often. And I feel that this is the case because I see animals that seem to be communicating with each other without a lot of body language. An animal will come up, say a magpie will fly up and land next to another magpie and seems to communicate something to it without any voice, without any body language, and the two of them just take off to go do whatever it was they just communicated. I see this all the time when I'm outside. And so I kind of feel like they can do this with us if they want, at will. They just don't choose to, and for whatever reason, I don't know. I don't know why they hold off from communicating with us like this. I'm sorry the screen is getting so dark. The sun is going down here as I tell this story. Anyway, so that was my experience. This iguana actually seemed to call out to me for help telepathically in my dream. And maybe these things happen in dreams so often because in our waking life, our minds put up shields where they can't communicate with us. Maybe we're very difficult to communicate with. Maybe animals try to all the time, but most of the time we've got our defensive shields up and they're not able to. But, they have these opportunities when we're sleeping, perhaps, that our shields are down a little bit and they're able to call to us. That's my thought. Now, it could be, and this is what my dad suggested, that actually before I'd gone to bed, somehow in the periphery of my vision, in a very subliminal, subconscious kind of a way, I had noticed that the iguana was in this state and that was evoked in my dream. And the dream just turned it into this story of the iguana talking to me. Could be. I don't know. I can't say that it's not for sure, but my feeling was, what I experienced felt very true. And so, although I remain completely skeptical of my own, I'm just going to communicate like what it felt like to me, and I'll communicate that I remain open to other interpretations. So those are a couple of really what were very powerful experiences to me. Certainly the marriage proposal has totally shaped my life in big ways, and the animal ones too. I mean, I have, you've probably noticed, a very serious respect for animals. And, at least some of that comes from um, my sense that they actually have skills that we don't have, including these communicative skills, where in a way they're kind of like they're more developed than we are in some ways. So just a couple of thoughts and a couple of stories to share. Enjoy.